visitor. I was about 8, pretty young. But then again, I had never heard of the word paranormal, so it never occurred to me that what I saw wasn't real. My mom would take me to a park when I was young, and she would sit down on the bench and tell me not to go too far, but I usually went too far. Well, one of those days when my mother took me to the park, there was this guy sitting on the merry-go-round. So I went over and I sat down next to him and asked, "Who are you?" He turned to me and said, "I am the visitor." But I didn't understand him, and he didn't feel as if he was a threat. The weird thing about it was, when he said it, he disappeared. A few years went by, and I was 13. I saw the guy again, but this time he was on my bus. I asked the bus driver if he was a new guy. She said, "What guy?" I couldn't understand because he was sitting right there. How could she not see him? He was in plain sight. I went and I sat down next to him in the seat and asked, "What do you want?" He looked at me and he said nothing. But his stare dug down deep into my soul. And then again he disappeared. I haven't seen the guy for a while, but that doesn't mean he won't come back again. The things I see. For as long as I can remember, I've seen things that others don't seem to see. The first I remember was when I was about 6. I was watching a movie and I had paused it to go to the bathroom. I was eager to get back to the movie, so I didn't close the bathroom door all the way. I was almost done when I turned my head to the right and saw what looked like some sort of backside of a big wolf walking past the doorway and into the room next to the bathroom. I was freaked out, but I just thought it was my dog. And when I looked in the room, I didn't see it, and when I asked, no one had seen the dog move. The next incident I had, I was 9. I was riding home from a soccer game when I looked out the window to my left and saw a small girl standing on the side of the road. She wore a white overcoat. It looked sort of like a nightshirt. That same year I was walking down my road to get the trash cans from the corner. I looked down at the corner and I saw a figure come into view. It was a man, but he wore the same kind of gown that the girl wore. This was the last time I saw them for a couple of years. Then one day I was in Kansas City helping my relatives move. I kept hearing what sounded like someone talking on the phone, but no one else was there. Then a week later I woke up to hear movement in the hallway beside the room where I slept. It sounded like heavy footsteps. A few days later I was woken in the middle of the night and saw figures moving around the bed. There were 3 children standing there, several elderly people and 2 middle-aged people. 2 of the old people were tall and thin. One was short and fat. The other was average size. One of the adults was short. The other was tall. I didn't see the kids all that clearly, and at first I thought I was dreaming, but then I realized I wasn't. I watched them for a little while, and then they turned and spoke to me. They asked me if I understood and if I could help them out. The next day I was alone at a relative's house, and all day long I heard a loud banging noise that was coming from the doors. I assume it must be those people that I saw the day before. Wolf-like creature. When When I was young, about 7 years old, there was a beast sighting in my grandparents' village. And for a few days, there were rumors about a wolf-like creature lurking in the woods. Animals were slaughtered, some were eaten alive. But one night, a human was also attacked. An 18-year-old boy who was going back home. He was scratched, and when the villagers found him, he was unconscious. He couldn't explain what attacked him. This leads me to my experience. One day, we were at a cottage celebrating my elder sister's birthday when we heard some kind of noises. We went outside and saw local hunters shouting at some kind of creature that looked like a wolf, but standing on his back feet. His front feet were even longer than his back feet. They shot at it a couple of times, but we don't know what happened to it. The next day, there was an announcement in our newspaper. I remember the creature was called Screamer in my village. I've always convinced myself that this was some kind of dog-wolf mutant, but we'll never know. The track. This happened to me during middle school. I was in 8th grade. It was PE class. It was in October, and we were out on the soccer field playing flag football. We were practicing throwing and catching the ball. My partner threw the football a bit harder, so it landed on the track, which was right next to the field. We went to get it and felt something tap our shoulder. I asked my friend, "What?" Because I thought she tapped my shoulder, but she didn't. Then she asked me, "Did you tap my shoulder?" I said no. We went back to the soccer field and looked at the track, only to see a girl around our age walking on it. Then, in the middle of March, we had to run the mile. When we were done, we walked the opposite direction, and we saw the same girl. She was softly singing a strange song. La la, la la. Someone be friends with me, la la. But sometimes I'm sad. When we got into the locker room, I asked some classmates if they saw her, and they said no. On the last day of school, my friend and I saw the girl again. She was walking on the track, so we decided to follow her. She was singing that song again, but then she stopped and said, "Thanks for noticing me, you two." My friend and I looked at each other and we got scared. So we turned around and we saw some of our other friends. They asked us, "What are you guys doing?" I said, "We're following this girl." When I turned around to look, she was gone. And they said, "What girl?"